The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report, part 2 of our Monday, October 22nd podcast. My friend Joe House is here. What's happening, House?
Yeah, what's happening?
We're in the studio. We talked to Cousin Sal. We guessed the Week 8 lines, and we rehashed Week 7. And now we're going to rehash the crap sandwich of a Yankee season with our buddy JackO, who we both went to college with.
Yes, we did.
You love JackO.
Complex Litigation, this is John.
Ah, Johnny!
Why such a big one? It doesn't seem appropriate for a guy who roots for a team that won 69 games.
Yeah.
Oh, that
good
doesn't.
point.
This is
Like-
that's your old friend Joe House, by the way.
Housey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, brother, how you doing?
Not bad, you?
You know, I'm still getting over my own playoff baseball loss.
Exactly. I blame it on the diary thing he made us do, the back and forth when the Yankees played the Nationals.
Yeah.
That's true. That really ruined it back in May or June, whenever that was.
I'm an
Yeah.
evil genius.
Yeah.
JackO, you've had a few days to digest one of the most embarrassing playoff series in the history of the Yankee franchise. And just a full-on travesty, and it just couldn't have gone worse. And
Yeah.
as the fan of a terrible baseball team that's poorly run, I needed it like a heroin addict needs heroin.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed it.
First of all, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to Robinson Cano. I saw on Twitter today that today's his birthday. And I hope for everybody at the party that he lets someone else hit the piñata because he might miss it and no one will get cancer.
Oh,
Wow.
an early shot at Cano.
Still bitter. Still
Strong
bitter.
statement, but he was terrible in this postseason. And I love Robbie Cano, but God, he was terrible, and they were counting on him. So, yeah, happy birthday to him. And then I read on the internet today that the Yankees are going to send Curtis Granderson to an eye doctor. No joke. Because
Come on.
when he got traded from the Tigers to the Yankees, they found out that he has 20/30 vision, and he started wearing contact lenses, and now they wonder if he needs like a prescription update or something. He can't make it up. I wish there was some simple explanation for his 4,000 seeming strikeouts in the ALCS. So hopefully it's an eye situation that can be rectified. Otherwise, it turns out he just stinks.
It
So,
sounds like a LASIK situation there.
yeah, there you go. They should pony up for the LASIK. Yeah.
Can we check the vision of everybody who played for the Red Sox last year?
Yeah, exactly.
So what else? Who else would you like to give a shout out to?
Oh, I'd like to give a special shout out to Nick Swisher, whose time with the Yankees I didn't enjoy, and I look forward to him playing for any other team in the major leagues.
A farewell shout out, you could call it.
I was going to make a joke the other day on Twitter, but I couldn't fit it in enough characters to say that I wanted to congratulate Sports Guy for his job, getting his gig on the NBA Countdown, whatever the show is, the pregame NBA show. And I said, I'm going to have a show on public access that just features me screaming obscenities at Nick Swisher. In other Grantland TV news, I'm getting a show on public access where I'm going to scream obscenities at a picture of Nick Swisher for an hour on a weekly basis.
You know, we have a YouTube channel. If you ever really want to do that, we could send a camera crew to West Hartford, Connecticut.
Perfect.
And ban that out.
So be on another team, so you can call the show Swisher, but you have to figure out who you're going to yell at. You can rotate it.
There you go.
I swear to God this happened. I don't remember if it was radio or TV, but I heard somebody. Oh, it was radio. I was driving, and two people I don't even know were talking about Nick Swisher. And one of the guys was saying, I think we've learned with Nick, he's a very gregarious guy.
Yeah.
And he's got a great personality, and things roll off him, but for whatever reason, that just doesn't translate to the postseason. The actual quote. I was like, what does that even mean? So he's too gregarious for the postseason? Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
I don't know. That's a good point. That's really, yeah. I don't think it was Nick's gregariousness that was the problem. It was his inability to hit major league pitching in the postseason that proved problematic for us.
So that didn't help. The captain fracturing his ankle.
Yeah, that was
Probably
painful.
that was probably a bad omen.
And A-Rod, it's always about A-Rod, always. And it's like, just what the Yankees needed. It's like they saw the Red Sox were mired in dysfunction and decided to join them there because they had been sailing blissfully along, and now we decided to throw all this A-Rod drama into things. So, his fragile psyche now is forever wounded, and I'm sure they'd love to ship him out. I mean, I'd ship him out for 10 cents on the dollar, but again, it's not my money. And I learned the other day that he has a freaking no-trade clause, a full no-trade, so he can veto a trade and keeps claiming he wants to come back to New York.
Oh, no.
So the Yankees 5 years ago, who were bidding against themselves, not only did they bid against themselves and give him a ridiculously overpriced contract, but they also threw in a nice no-trade contract, no-trade clause for him. Great savvy move there.
Well, that makes me extremely happy, but here's
me
my
too.
question.
I'm so happy I can't even speak.
Here's my question. Who's responsible for the A-Rod thing?
Great question.
Because it could not have been Girardi.
No. Oh, you mean benching him?
Yes.
Well, I assume that it couldn't have been him. I don't think they would have let him make that decision on his own. That had to come from higher up. That had to be an organizational decision. I mean, there's no way he called that on his own, especially for 2 games in a row like he did.
So
he benched him, then they had the rain out, and then he benched him again the next day after there was all kinds of controversy about it. So I assume that was an organizational decision, and I think they'd love to ship him out. But after the game, he kept saying, I want to come back to New York. So now he comes back to New York. They have a good enough team to accidentally find themselves to 90-plus wins, and they make it as a wild card, or they win the division again next year. What's every single story going to be in the media for the day or two before the playoff game? It's going to be about A-Rod, and can he produce, and it's just going to be, we're right back in this boat again.
I have a couple of theories, as always.
Oh, good.
Figured you might enjoy them. One is actually a friend of a friend thing.
Oh.
A little inside info.
We like those.
But it's not directly from the source, so it might be a little game of telephone. But this is also the same way I sniffed out this Red Sox ownership, and I do think they're selling the Red Sox, even though they're claiming they're not. But it's the same kind of. So I'm not reporting this. I'm just saying this is what I heard. I like to pass along things I've heard.
Nice.
Supposedly they're just trying to drive A-Rod crazy, so he waives that no trade clause.
Well,
that structured a lot of how the Yankees behaved. And even did you read the Cashman quotes this weekend?
Oh yeah.
And they were like, "Are you going to trade A-Rod?" And normally any GM says, "No, A-Rod, they'll lie." Cashman did not lie. Cashman's like, well, if somebody calls, we'd have to talk about it. And meanwhile, it doesn't even mention that A-Rod has a no-trade clause.
Right.
But it seems like everything they've done over the last couple weeks has been to kind of push A-Rod into the position of saying either get me out of here or let's figure out a buyout so I can go play somewhere else.
They need to talk to Lucchino and John Henry and find out how to do the smear campaign, linking him to prescription medication or whatever.
That's the sad thing here. That's kind of one of the ironies of the situation, Johnny, is the people that could help you the most with the smear campaign don't want to help you.
Right.
In any other situation, Lucchino and Henry would be happy to share their smear campaign secrets.
Well, that does remind me of my favorite tweet of the past 3 weeks, which was from Donald Trump, who tweeted, Johnny, I'm sure you saw this.
I did.
That the reason for A-Rod's demise is he's off the steroids.
Yeah.
Donald Trump said that?
Yeah, he had one about how he was so disappointed in A-Rod, in the Yankees as a whole or something, and then about A-Rod's no good because he's not on the juice anymore.
Well, I mean, if this was 10 years ago, he would have been on the juice and he would hit 330 this year. Because that's what happened to guys in their late 30s. Are we sure A-Rod is the right age?
Is the right age?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We're sure he's not 4 years older than he says he is?
No, because I think he was born in Miami, or I don't know if he was born in Miami or not, but no, maybe not.
Is it possible? Is it possible he has some sort of a
that he's really 40 and not 37?
No, is it possible that he has some sort of muscle issue that caused his reflexes to lose steam? Like he has some sort of disorder?
Well, maybe they can get a coupon for 2-for-1 LASIK when they send Curtis in. They can clean up A-Rod's eyes, too. Maybe that's the problem.
He should have gone to Germany with Kobe.
Yeah, he should. He needs to go back and get another boost of that.
He needs to join the Postal Service Lance Armstrong team.
Yes.
He needs to hang out with some of those guys.
Absolutely.
Put some olive oil with this. Take this cream. I love that. Did you read some of the Lance Armstrong stories?
No, because the
Lance Armstrong
that he's been a steroid user. So, but the thing is, like, from the little bit I know about the Tour de France and cycling, it seems like that's the sport where it's like the Saturday Night Live get the all drug Olympics.
Yeah.
Where every single person
It
on
is.
something.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
they're
what-
like recycling like elk blood into your system and doing every kind of crazy thing. There's not one guy in that. Like when they took his 7 Tour de France's away, they probably have to go down to like the guy that came in 23rd is the first guy that's clean.
I'm going to say something that I'm positive is, irrefutably ignorant, but who cares? That race is so hard. Why don't
Yeah.
I don't see what the point
Well,
is.
I think the problem is it's really dangerous to do stuff like change your blood. Like then there's like real health hazards. So now you're putting other guys in the position who might not want to cheat to really potentially
have
threaten
to.
their lives. Well, they're saying the reports are really interesting, like that 800-page report. And one of the things was how the U.S. apparently got that Armstrong's team got its just asses kicked in 1995 in some race. And after that was when everybody was like, all right, we got to start doing what everybody else is doing. And from that point on, they just it became this machine. I mean, that was the legacy of that team. It was the greatest drug cheat unit anyone's ever assembled. They did it for a decade.
Well, they'll always have that at least. That's right.
Maybe not the
take away
7
my
Tour de
title, but
France's.
you can't take away my title as greatest drug cheat of all time. Nobody made a masking agent like we did. We still got that, boys.
We can run that EPO back like nobody. So,
Other
yes.
people injected bull semen, but not like we did.
So anyway, back to A-Rod. Speaking
Yeah,
of bull semen,
moved on.
is there a chance he could end up becoming the most popular Yankee in the history of the franchise next year?
That A-Rod could? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, probably not. No.
Why?
No, I don't think so. I think
What
he-
if he-
he-
what
even
if
a
he-
bounce back year, he hits 40 home runs next year, 130 RBIs, it leads them to postseason glory. I just don't see it happening.
What if Miami comes up with a half-decent trade for him, and then A-Rod just blocks it, and he says, I want to be a Yankee, and it's a trade that would have helped you, and you could have gotten rid of A-Rod.
Oh yeah, then he's just a pariah. I mean, he's in an unfortunate situation because it's like a Mantle Maris deal where all the Yankee fans, although some of this is apocryphal, I guess, but the stories are that most every Yankee fan was rooting for Mantle because he was a true Yankee and was,
Right.
not the homegrown. Well, he was a homegrown guy, and Maris came from another team, and then he was sort of the usurper to Mantle's crown. A-Rod's perceived the same way because he's viewed as being a rival of Jeter's, and they don't really get along. And of course, everybody loves Jeter. He's the captain and the homegrown Yankee. So A-Rod always started out behind the 8 ball there, and he's only made things worse with just by being A-Rod, and not coming through in the clutch, and especially as compared with Jeter, he comes up short in that regard too. And he seems to fail in the most glorious ways possible, and the media focuses on him because of him and because of his contract. And he's kind of like a quarterback in football where he gets too much of the blame and too much of the credit, although he doesn't seem to ever get credit, so he just gets too much of the blame. I mean, he's not single-handedly responsible for the postseason. Yes, they were counting on him to produce and to get a hit now and again, and he killed them in big situations, but so did Cano, and so did Granderson, and so did Swisher. So it was a collective failure.
House, you're a neutral observer.
Yes.
You have no dog in the A-Rod race.
I don't.
Where do you stand on A-Rod?
I think he's the best in-game getting a girl's number performer in the history of organized baseball.
It's a very strong point.
That's true.
So what was the reaction on the East Coast to that whole story? Because as far as sports blog stories go, that was in the pantheon, I felt like.
Oh yeah, it's up there. I mean, and there was a lot of, I got stuff back on Twitter or other places where people were like, well, baseball players hit on women during games all the time, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. If it's like July, if it's game 73 and you're playing in Kansas City, by all means. But when it's game 2 of the ALCS, you lost game 1, and you're fighting for your life here basically because it's a must-win game because you don't want to go down 0-2 at home. And he's flirting with models in the stands. It's like, it's not a really good timing, A-Rod, And he hasn't gotten a hit. He's been completely inept, and it's, can't be doing that.
I have a controversial defense here. I'm going to be the first person to defend A-Rod. Baseball's boring. None of these guys are just sitting there. If you had a dugout camera during a game, I think you would just be shocked by the things they do, the conversations they have, the way they interact. They're sitting there for 3.5 hours. They're spitting sunflower seeds, and what are you supposed to do?
I think it's a lot more defensible in the bullpen than in the real dugout.
Yeah. And
Why? What's the difference?
Because you're so far removed, and it's less guys.
The only difference is you might get hit by a line
game.
drive in the dugout. It's basically, I don't know. To me,
I think it's totally defensible if it's a regular season game and you're just playing out the string. But in the ALCS, in the postseason, where every pitch matters, as the tagline says, you got to be into it. You got to be a little bit focused there.
All right,
not a little bit. You got to be focused there.
We're gonna play a new game in the BS Report called Media Strategist because they have these people now.
Oh.
You're A-Rod's media strategist. How do you spin the whole hitting on the girl thing? And I would tell A-Rod, just be candid. Like, you're trying to get out of a slump. You like the ladies.
Right.
You feel like you look at what's happened to Tiger Woods now that he can't do his thing off the course, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
He can't get his ladies. He can't get his little Paula Jones lookalike lady, cocktail waitresses, all those girls, and he's gone into a funk. And A-Rod's like, I don't want to be the next Tiger.
Right.
I need to get my thing on.
Like this
I'm not there. I'm not
trying to relax my
I was
mind.
just being the media strategist.
It's a strategy.
I don't know that
you don't agree with.
I think you just have to fall on your sword for that one. But what A-Rod should have done, or should still do probably, although it might be too late now, he should have done it right after the series ended, is he should have done like a Tebow speech, like whenever it was in college when Florida got upset by Mississippi or Mississippi State or something, and he gave this impassioned speech about you'll never see anybody play harder or practice harder than I'm going to do for the University of Florida, and gave this like Patton-esque speech, like leading them to victory. That's what A-Rod should have done.
He can still do it. What's to
think
prevent him
it's
from
too
doing
late?
it? No, I mean, well, it depends on how this narrative kind of works itself out, but I think he sowed the seeds correctly. By the way, he did the right thing, obviously, with the girl thing, which is deny.
Yeah.
And now, but let it play out a little. Let Cashman get out there and talk about the trade possibilities.
Did you see what Buster Olney wrote?
Talk about how hurt you are that anybody would think about you in any other way other than as a New Yorker.
Oh,
no,
I like
didn't
that
see
angle.
the Buster thing. But go ahead.
Buster Olney said that if A-Rod was a free agent this winter, he would get 1 year, $5 million.
Wow.
That'd be the contract he would get.
Like the Manny contract.
That seems
remember?
low. But yeah, he's basically saying he's done. He's out.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
And all the scouts are like, yeah, he's done. He can't.
Can't catch up to it. A fastball right down Broadway. Yeah.
An 88-mile-an-hour fastball he can no longer hit. So.
Problematic. It's not good. So maybe the Tebow speech won't help. Is that what you're telling me? He gave the Tebow speech and then he comes out and hits 220 next year. It's not really going to work, huh?
Well, the move really is to start cheating again.
Well, that too.
Let's be honest.
He should be on the next flight to Berlin.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. We're talking about, the pure merits of the guy. There's 20 franchises that would take A-Rod in a heartbeat.
I feel like you haven't watched A-Rod play baseball this year.
But this is the point. You're getting A-Rod. That's why teams would do it. What else does Miami, have to look forward to? What else does Houston? What's Houston building around?
It's certainly a future that you'd not want to have A-Rod in it.
Why not? The guy's going to go down as one of the 20 greatest baseball players of all time.
Okay, but you could say that about Cal Ripken. I wouldn't want Cal Ripken either right now at this point of his life. Johnny, you watched a lot of A-Rod at-bats this year.
Yeah, I saw I was actually live and in person at the game that he hit his last home run of the season, unfortunately, against the Rays about a month ago. Yeah, that was unfortunate. I didn't think that was going to be his last home run of the year, but it was.
So, Johnny, whose team is in worse shape between yours and mine?
Oh, yours is, no question.
No question.
I was looking today at your 5 starters for next year, and not only is John Lackey prominently featured, but it's Lester, Buchholz, Dubront, Lackey, and then a question mark. So that's much worse. You have a shortstop who's going to hit 190.
Yeah.
You don't have a first baseman. You currently only have 1 outfielder.
Wow, that's a problem.
You have David Ortiz, who's probably really about 52 and broke down for the entire second half of the year. You're going to sign him to a 2-year deal.
We got Pedroia.
Yeah, sure. Scrappy Binky's there, and I saw him already. He's happy about John Farrell. He's probably went out and bought a new cribbage board for the new manager, and he's all fired up. And you got rid of Tito, and now you're bringing in like Tito's whole regime, because I read that Torey Lovullo, who was Farrell's bench coach is probably going to be the bench coach in Boston, and he was like a third base coach under Francona. So we had to run Francona out of town, and now we're going to bring back in Francona Light.
We had to run Francona out of town because he was addicted to prescription drugs and he was acting inappropriately, Johnny. You didn't read the Globe story?
He couldn't focus.
He lost
Which
focus
city
in
was
the team
at the
because
time?
of his divorce.
That's right.
That's what I read in the paper.
And the Red Sox players are great because they're like, well, the inmates run the asylum, and we ran Bobby V out of town, and now our old buddy's coming back, you know?
You know, Bobby V signed, it's like a $2.5 million thing, I supposedly that, and he can't say anything. It's a confidential agreement. He has to give back the team $2.5 million. If you're a book company, don't you just offer him $5 million?
Oh, God, yeah. I was thinking that.
Here's $5 million. We'll rip up the agreement. You get to keep an extra $2.5 million. Let's hear everything that happened.
He never had a chance in the first place.
Well, he also couldn't have handled everything worse.
That's a
How
fact.
about if
On
you're
the planet.
How about
That's
if you're just ESPN? Couldn't they offer him more than $2.5 million and bill it like you could market it like a decision-like show?
A special
Bobby V tells all.
30 for
You ready
30
that?
special edition.
Oh, it could be a Grantland channel.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I'll offer $75. Johnny, were you excited that as a couple people joked on Twitter, the Red Sox somehow got less for Theo Epstein than they gave up for John Farrell, who managed a 73-win team last year?
That's kind of a dog and pony show, though, because they were getting rid of Aviles anyway, because they want to start Iglesias next year.
No,
So
I know.
They were looking for an excuse to get rid of Aviles, so yes, they gave up
Have you
their
read?
starting shortstop. But
Here's the problem. I unfortunately they have this thing called Google, and
Yes.
you can read stories from other cities and stuff.
right,
So if you go back and you read the end of the year Toronto Blue Jays column, everything is about like the lack of leadership and accountability in the Toronto locker room and how this has to change next season and there are no leaders and nobody
Right.
knows. And it's like you read it and you're like, wow, that manager really sounds like he did a bad job on that team. Like it really sounds like this rudderless team that had no leadership. And the effing Red Sox trade for the manager of that team.
right. I know.
Nobody was watching the Blue Jays and saying, whoa, who's managing this team?
Well, you know what the Red Sox spin on that is, though, is that, well, Francona was terrible in Philadelphia, and look what he did here in Boston. But, I mean,
What does that even mean?
that's catching lightning in a bottle. You can't assume because a guy sucked one place and then he won 2 World Series that it's going to happen for another guy.
And you know, I mean, maybe I put too much stock in this, but anytime any of my teams get somebody, you can trust the sample size of the emails you get a little bit from the fans of that team. You know, like when J.D. Drew and the Red Sox signed him, I published all those emails about all these readers making fun of me who had watched him in the car. You're going to hate this guy.
And Lackey.
And then when the Celtics got Jason Terry, bunch of Dallas Maverick fans like, you don't understand how lucky you are. He's my favorite Maverick of all time. The guy's a warrior. I'll defend that guy to the death. Like, you kind of have a little bit of a feel.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get any emails about John Farrell from the Blue Jays fans.
Nothing.
That, nothing like, man, I felt like he was really coming on. This feels like a Belichick for baseball type. No, nothing.
You know, has there ever been a pitching coach who's become a manager who's, like, been fantastic as a manager? That maybe there is. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I'm trying to think. See, here's what I would have done. Tell me, Johnny, let's look at this from what would have scared you the most for the Red Sox to get done for the manager. The Red Sox go to Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah.
And they say, we're going to give you $50 million for Joe Madden. Here's a check. Here it is. It's a cashier's check. You can cash this right now.
That's what they paid for Dice K, so they have the money to burn.
$50 million. And you just promote whoever his right hand, and we get Joe Madden. It's a cash transaction. We're buying Joe Madden from you. They buy Joe Madden, and then they give Joe Madden 4 years for $36 million. So the $86 million commitment for Joe Madden.
Yeah.
Now we have the best manager in baseball.
Yeah. No,
that would have scared you as a Yankee fan, right?
Absolutely.
We have the money to do that because we just shed $260 million of all these crap contracts that now all of a sudden they're going to make a crap load of money this year unless they spend it. That's what they should have done.
Yeah.
I know that's a total sports radio, like, ridiculous thing that would never happen, but seriously, what do the Rays do if they offered $50 million for Joe Madden? What do they say to that? They'd have to think about taking the money, right?
No, yeah, they would have to think about it.
$50 million.
Yeah, take the money. I don't even think they think about taking the money. Just take the money.
Right.
$50 million?
And you could say Selig would veto it, but the Red Sox own Bud Selig. So
What about La Russa? Why wasn't he?
Hold on, Johnny got his little Bud Selig
Oh, I
pot
need to
shot.
hear that. I need to hear it.
He said normally the commissioner would veto it, but Bud Selig's in our back pocket. But Bud Selig's in nobody's pocket now. He's in a senior citizen home now.
Yeah.
Can you believe he's 78?
I read your column the other day.
Did you know he was 78? Did you know that, Johnny?
I did not until I read your column the other day.
How many family members do you have who's 78 or over?
How many what?
How many family members do you have who are 78 or over?
Sadly, none.
Sadly, none. How? How many do you have?
I don't think any.
You have no family members who are 78 or over?
I can't think of any.
I have nobody on my dad's side. My dad is the oldest member of his family. He's 64.
Wow.
And my mom has my Aunt Jen, who's like 85, 86, and her husband, Uncle Debbie. They're both alive, and they go to the Mohegan Sun every week and gamble. And it's awesome. But those are the only two family members I have on either side who are in Bud Selig's age range. And he's signed for 2 more years.
Unbelievable.
It's
they don't
insane.
even let Bud drive anymore.
House, you should have seen House last night. We watched Homeland. He was in a coma. It was like 9:30. He's 35 years younger than Bud Selig.
I was on East Coast time.
We had to like carry you upstairs.
I was on East Coast time. This is 1 a.m. for me.
But yeah, I mean, I think Bud would okay the Joe Madden thing because he's in our hip pocket.
Absolutely.
But that's
all
all
right.
right.
Probably get it past him if it was later than 4:30 in the afternoon because he's probably getting tired.
But hey, when you can get a former pitching coach who's 154 and 165 as a manager, I mean, you got to think about it.
Right.
Crippled. I mean, plus
all the guys know him and they love him. They all know each other. He knows his way around Boston. You know, knows the streets.
And ask me this one, Johnny. Would this worry you at all if I'm trying to hire your manager, right? The guy's under contract. I'm in your division.
Yeah.
And the team says, well, we'll do it if you give us Micah Vilas.
Well, the Blue Jays are stupid, I think, frankly, because the Blue Jays are never going to be in the catbird seat like they were with Farrell again. The Red Sox have been hot for him. They were hot for him before they hired Bobby V. After the Bobby V disaster, now they have to get somebody who their fans view as competent and they're all hot for. The Blue Jays know this. The Blue Jays don't want John Farrell to be their manager because they think he's terrible. But regardless, you have a commodity that the Red Sox want. You have this hot item that they want. Why not hold them up for more? Now, last year, apparently, they said we want Buchholz. I mean, that's a little ridiculous, but couldn't you get like something better than Micah Vilas, get some top prospect that the Red Sox have, or really make them pay for it?
Knowing how this Red Sox ownership handles its business from what we've seen the last couple of years, I would have said they probably could have milked us for more.
Yeah, of course. I think they could have, too. I was surprised when I found out and I saw it was just Micah Vilas because everybody knew the Red Sox were trying to get rid of him anyway, so it's like they gave away something they didn't even want to get something they really wanted, and the Blue Jays totally could have held him hostage.
I'm going to miss Micah Vilas.
He was solid for you, but Bobby V put him in the doghouse, and then they're all hot for Iglesias because of his glove. So
I like the idea of bringing back a guy who had a 280 on base percentage. I thought it was really enticing. Yeah, I thought. Especially if you can put him near the top of the order, like Bobby V would do from time to time. You definitely want to have a 280 on base and near the top, setting the table. You want to set the table with somebody who doesn't get on base 72% of the time.
It's not a table I'd like to sit down at.
I got to be honest. I've never been more discouraged about baseball, just in general. Like I don't trust the people who run the team. I don't really like anyone on the team other than 2 or 3 guys. And I don't have a lot of hope.
Yeah,
really, I'm in a dark place.
Yeah, welcome to 75% of the league.
No, I know. Listen, there's a bunch of readers or listeners from different cities who don't feel bad for me and shouldn't.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I'm one of them.
I had a nice little 15-year run, and now it appears to be long over.
Yeah,
a couple years at least.
Have the Celtics and what's left of the Patriots. No more hockey.
You guys shouldn't have run that cover. Welcome to Boston, losers, with all the rings and whatever. Coming back to bite you.
I told them not to do that.
You did it.
I told them not to do that. I have the Celtics. I have what's left of the Patriots, and I have my daughter's 8 and under soccer team, and those are the 3 things that keep me going. And I'd actually put the soccer team above both.
Nice.
When your kid is old enough that the games are actually kind of semi-exciting.
Yeah.
and it's your kid, it trumps your favorite team. It's not even close.
Well, my daughter is 6.5, and she plays soccer now, but they're still at the age where it's just like a pack of kids following the ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'll break out on a breakaway, and I find myself getting excited, like the movie Victory. Like I'm gonna do like Pele, like a scissor kick or something, but bicycle kick. But
it gets good when they turn 7. All of a sudden they start figuring out how to play. It's really exciting.
Well, we're going to see in Rentschler Field in East Hartford tomorrow the U.S. national women's team against Germany.
Wow.
That'd be fun.
I've actually paid for tickets to go see a women's soccer game.
I fully support it.
Me too.
I like women's soccer.
And I don't have a daughter, but I think it's cool.
I took my daughter to Wembley Stadium to see the gold medal game.
Nice.
With U.S. and I think it was Japan. And it was a great sporting event. And they're really good at soccer.
You know, it just occurred
Really,
to me that
really good.
The U.S. women's team is playing Germany, so I will have some victory flashbacks there.
Yeah, you will. You should take Max von Sydow,
Absolutely.
the good Nazi.
Hopefully it'll be completely silent during the German anthem, and then we'll all sing the French national anthem just for kicks.
All right, Johnny, let's wrap this up quickly by asking you make 3 predictions for the Yankees offseason.
Oh, wow, that's a tough one because I don't know. It's going to be an interesting off season. Well, Nick Swisher will be elsewhere. They won't offer him.
I'm not counting that. It doesn't count.
Oh, that was a layup, huh?
No, he's not coming back.
They're going to get some rec specs for Curtis Granderson. He'll be wearing those next year.
All right, there's one. I'll give you that one.
They're going to try like hell to ship A-Rod somewhere. They're going to do their damnedest, but whether it's through smear campaigns or paying 75% of his contract or outright begging,
if they
try and ship him.
If they smear campaign A-Rod, what paper or outlet gets that story, in your opinion?
I would say probably Joel Sherman in the New York Post.
Oh, a prediction.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was
Joel
good.
Sherman.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. That I think
Okay.
that they have a pretty good conduit to him. I think they'll try to get rid of A-Rod.
By the way, I forgot to mention this. I thought it was really interesting. Cashman gave that whole story about how trading A-Rod, the whole thing. Never mentioned that he was the GM when they gave him that terrible contract. Because he talked about how bad the contract was. It was like, oh, you weren't there that year? I forgot.
Well, but he got overruled on that one. I don't think he wanted to. This is kind of like, you know, he and Theo always have like plausible deniability on the ones that don't work out.
Yeah.
But at the time, I think that was like a Steinbrenner, Randy Levine deal where they kind of cut Cashman out the same way they did when they signed Soriano. And then Cashman came out and talked about how much he hated the Soriano signing, like at his press conference or something. But
right.
I think it was the same with A-Rod. I don't think Cashman was on board with that, and I think that was the last gasp of the Steinbrenner regime to do that. So I don't think he's ever been a big fan of A-Rod or his contract, and they want to get underneath the luxury tax. So I think they want to ship him out, but I don't know if they'll be successful.
All right, another prediction.
And I don't think they're going to make any kind of big splash in the free agency signing. I think that. I mean, I don't know what the answer is offensively. I hope to God is that they sign Ichiro. I'd like another year or two of Ichiro. If he would take a 1 or 2 year deal at reasonable money, I would do that in a heartbeat.
I think Ichiro comes back.
Me too.
I would like
It's
that.
a nice fit. I even as a Red Sox fan who hates the Yankees, I liked having Ichiro on the Yankees. It made it more fun.
I think when you have Brett Gardner back next year and you have an outfield of Gardner, Granderson, and Ichiro, that's a good defensive outfield with a lot of speed.
Forgot about Brett Gardner.
Pretty good.
What happened to him?
And
Where was his injury?
I think Gardner and Ichiro solve some of their problems of being too reliant on the home run because they can play small ball and they get a little speedier, and you know you can get Granderson to steal some more bases, assuming he can get on them. And I think you have a little something there that maybe solves some problems. They get Pineda back next year, so their rotation should be decent.
Oh yeah.
And I would, I don't know. It'll be interesting because I think they're not going to have as much pop next year if they ship A-Rod out and without Swisher.
And you left out the greatest closer. You left out the greatest closer of all time.
The greatest closer of all time in his final season, in all likelihood, yes. Pettit. I think they'll try to bring Pettit back for a year. I think he's got a little something left, so I'd like to see him back.
As A-Rod's drug mule or as a left-handed pitcher?
Whatever he's needed to do, whatever's for the good of the team.
All right. House got some good baseball news too. I don't know if you heard.
What's that?
The Nationals announced, just happened, that they're going to let Strasburg throw 4 more innings next year, and that if they can get to the round, he gets to pitch in round 1, but then after that he doesn't get to pitch anymore.
Too soon.
Too soon.
I mean, this is a family broadcast. This is a non-F-bomb broadcast. I can't
House
talk
is
about it.
stewing over the Strasburg inning count.
I'm never going to let it
The good
go.
news is there's no way they could have arranged it so that he just started the season later and had it coincide with the playoffs.
I'm never going to be able to let it go.
I feel bad for Huss, and I would kind of I wanted to see the Nationals make it out of the National League, but what they did with him was just so indefensible. I mean, it just you can't wrap your head around how little sense it makes.
Yeah. Well, did they just not think they were a playoff team?
Maybe in spring training that's what they thought.
So that was the real issue, is they just had no idea they were a playoff team.
Well, that's not the real issue. The real issue is as soon as the team looks like it's, sort of rounding into shape, it's like baseball, they play 162 games. At some point in there, they had to reach the conclusion that this team is pretty good.
You could always change your mind. It wasn't like they were locked in stone there,
Well, the good news is they've protected his imaginary health.
The most important thing is that Scott Morris's bottom line was protected. So congratulations to Scott.
Well, in a world where we have no idea what's going to happen a year from now or 5 years from now, the Nationals have protected something. I'm just not sure exactly
my brain.
What it was. All right, JackO.
All right, boys.
A pleasure.
Good
as
talk,
always.
brother.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, talk to you guys
bye-bye.
soon. Take care, fellas. Bye-bye.
That wraps up the BS report. I wanted to mention one last thing. Tomorrow, ESPN, 8 o'clock, 30 for 30, Benji. It's about the best high school player in America in 1984 in Chicago. Got gunned down before his senior season. And basically if KG had just been gunned down right before his senior season. And it's really good. And it ties into some of the issues that I think we're having as a country right now. I think it's a good big picture documentary I think people like. Do you remember Ben Wilson or no?
No, I just read the story and I'm looking at the previews of the show expecting a sad hour.
It's good. It's definitely sad, but I think it's also worthwhile. I think it's a meaningful documentary, and I hope people watch it. We'll be back tomorrow, BS Report. We have a former NBA player. I will not say who it is. A former NBA player, recently retired, will be in the studio. So there you go. That's it. Talk tomorrow.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.